Everybody, it is 5:04. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Gail, you want to do roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Talenti is absent. Commissioner Cucci.
Present.
Commissioner Grace. Present. Commissioner Luzzi.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Salona.
Here. Next up is minutes of the previous meeting, August 12th. People had a chance to review it. Have any comments?
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Project updates, wastewater plants.
I put the monthly invoice in your package. The application 35 was for 2.6 million, so quite a bit of work going on at the wastewater facility and the pump stations throughout the city. You can see the milestone payments as well. The contract's about 77% complete. Things are going well, but you know it is a $74 million nut. So eventually the SRF is going to have a nice debt service payment for us, and that'll be coming in the near future. The progress meeting reports 36 is in your package. The construction activities, obviously at the plant, the aeration trains, the locks, the liquid oxygen, grit, scum tanks, sludge thickeners, and then the pump stations. The pump stations are all itemized there. There's 5 of them specifically, and 2 more, and things are going well. Change orders and allowances are outlined there for you. Requisitions, we are having a problem with the DEP on payments, but we seem to be getting through that relative to approving change orders. And then there's a projected look ahead in your package, but everything's going reasonably well, and we're happy with the progress.
Good. Anyone have any questions? All right. Drinking water.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Rule 104 Commission is in compliance with all federal and state drinking water regulations. Water supply capacity as of yesterday is at 57%. The average for this time of year is 65%. All 10 contract full-time positions for the water plant are currently filled. And so we had about 28 days without any rain, so the reservoir levels did drop. And we expect to be in voluntary curtailment probably by next week. We just put a notice in the paper, let people know that they could cut back on water. And we're probably about 3 or 4 weeks away from a ban, I would say. Requesting a water ban like 2 years ago.
Okay. And how does that get advertised, the water ban?
We put it in the paper, we post signs around the city.
Yep.
We put it in the paper, and we put it on the website.
Okay. Any questions?
So what percentage does it go down to before it's a drought?
Okay, so at 55, we're at voluntary, then when we get below 50, we're at limited restrictions, and then below 45, we go into enforced bans.
Because when do you start pulling from other places in the off
Well,
season?
right now, if there was water available, we could take water from the Saugus River, but there's no water available. And December 1st, if there's more than 10 million gallons after pumping, we can take from the Ipswich River.
Okay. Got it. Any questions? Good. CSO updates? Anthony?
Anthony.
So Bethune Construction on the pump station is continuing to work on the electrical building interior and installation of the 54-inch DI force main connections on the upstream and downstream end of the commercial street tunnel. The contractor has completed hydrostatic testing on various segments of the 54-inch force main and is in the process of backfilling the force main and installing adjacent yard piping and drainage structures. The work for the pump station is approximately 94% complete. Phase 4 and 5, PTO and Son continue mainline sewer and drains installation on various streets. Water main and water service installation are ongoing on various streets. The contract has begun making site preparations for the installation of the 72-inch RCP drain on Benner Street, which is the trunk line to the pump station. Following completion of the utility gas main installation, which National Grid is completing now. That contract is approximately 35% complete. That's the update.
For phase 4 and 5, the contract completion date is October 31st, which we're clearly not going to meet.
Yeah.
Is there new deadlines, and is the October 31st deadline, is that in the consent decree?
So, in your package is the monthly report that we submit to the regulatory agencies. And in that report, we've been updating them on the delay caused by National Grid. They're looking at about a 200-day extension to this. So we've let them know, and we're still negotiating the 05 part of the project. So it looks like we're probably not going to be completed for another 6 months or so. We're looking at probably completion early spring with restoration of the road and so forth, probably finishing around August. But it has been delayed by the moving of that gas main on Bennett Street. So but we're moving forward with it.
Okay. For additional costs for that, do we eat those costs, or does the contractor?
As of right now, there are no additional costs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a delay in time, but not a delay, not an actual
No increase in costs. Okay.
But she also has like 12 crews out there today, right? So I mean, they're doing everything that can. They're doing $40 million worth of sewer separation work in like an unheard of schedule. So, there's disruption, people are upset, but we signed up for a $40 million job over a very short period of time. Those are things that are gonna happen. That's putting in $40 million in new pipes and roadways and manholes and everything, so.
Yeah, so they do, that's right, they've got like 6 crews out there now working, so. And I think they actually had at one time 72 workers out there.
Wow.
Which is like 12 crews.
It's a huge
insane.
group, Yeah.
When the pump station at Bennett Street is finished, is there going to be like a ribbon cutting or some kind of celebration for it, or?
Sure, you want one?
I mean, giant scissors, maybe a fruit platter sometimes. I mean, that's a
Yeah, sure.
substantial project. And didn't you say it was like one of the biggest on the northeast?
Yeah,
Or
it is 96 million gallon pump station. Yeah.
it's pretty. I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, we can do one. We'll let you know when we're
Yeah,
gonna
it's
have
good stuff. We touting, we're doing good work here. So just want to make sure.
one. No, we can do it. I just,
And you want the fruit basket?
sure, we can do that. What do you like for fruit?
The regular.
All right.
Pineapples.
All right, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Definitely.
All right. Any questions for Anthony? No. Good. Kings Beach updates.
So your Kings Beach package is in the package. The August report, Emma Kelly's here. We can go in more details. Again, we've progressed with the $1.1 million BMC contract. We've taken out the 3 services. We've been telling you this story for months. We've dye tested 3 pages of homes there, and they've all been confirmed in the sewer. And Eric can go in more detail. And then recently, September 16th, we had a meeting, the steering committee, with a new group of DEP people. That's the actual DEP commissioner, Bonnie Heipel, an undersecretary of DEP, Stephanie Cooper, and Gary Moran, who's the associate DPW commissioner, and Courtney Rainey, who I'm not sure what her title was, and then Eric Worrell, who we've been dealing with for years, the regional director. But we usually deal with Susie King, Eric Worrell, and Joe Nerdin with our reports. But this was a whole new group of, I think, upper DEP personnel. And, the items that were discussed there, ozone, UV, and then the outfall, and then when they talked about cleaning catch basins more often. But those are the minutes of the meeting that were prepared relative to that September 16th meeting.
It says at the bottom that you asked about chlorination, dechlorination. Did that, as a temporary solution, if UV doesn't work, how was that received, or is there any, do you get a sense of?
I think we're pursuing UV, and then and then we're gonna go back to chlor and dechlor. I think the EPA killed chlor and dechlor like 2 years ago.
Right.
even though we dechlor and chlor our wastewater and we chlor our drinking water, but we can't do that for the fish. So I don't know, but we're gonna pursue that afterwards. If the UV doesn't shake out, I think we're gonna go back to that, but, it seems like UV is the way we're gonna go rather than chlor and dechlor.
Okay.
So Eric's here. Eric, you want Anthony, someone wanna talk in more details on the great things that are going on?
Yeah, so we're waiting on data from the updated screening we did a week and a half ago. We should have everything in sometime later this week. That was kind of like reconnaissance to see where all the places where we cleaned, to see what the conditions look like, and after the 5 disconnects. Right now, we're planning to go out and smoke test in the Mount Pleasant and Seymour areas next week, as soon as we nail down a date. Those were some hot spots from past screening events, and the TV work didn't really elicit anything of interest, so we're going back with smoke testing. The expectation is we're probably gonna do more dye testing, canvassing along certain hotspot areas, similar we did down by the middle school. That proved successful in getting into more homes than we were through the, trying to solicit volunteers through appointments, so I think that's gonna carry us through the fall. Police details continue to be our problem with getting the heavy cleaning for the remaining 3 miles. Mainly because we need 2 detail officers for each of those site work areas, just because we have trucks on both ends. So we have some ideas we're gonna try and float by, I think with the road moratorium probably coming back in the middle of November usually is when the street work starts slowing down. We might be able to have freed up some officers to help with the cleaning, because we won't be doing utility work. And we might have to re-entertain doing partial night work just to see if we can make some progress, but still subject to getting the details filled.
So do you mind just talking a little bit more, when you all find something with the pipes, maybe something that needs to be fixed, whether it's a cracked pipe or something like that? Do you all mind explaining the process for that? Is it something where if it's a minor defect, we use some sort of maintenance funds? If it's, holy cow, we have a half mile of pipe that's cracked here, does that become a project and go out to bid? Have we addressed those yet? Do you mind just talking about that process a little
So
bit?
we are cataloging both maintenance and structural defects as we go.
Okay.
In a good sense, there haven't been too many significant structural defects in the system. We've had a few areas where there's gonna be recommendations for either spot point repairs or potential whole segments have to be redone because there's a threat of further deterioration, so it's structural. Usually that's your older clay pipes. So we are producing a log that's gonna lay those out because some of those might be considered by the commission to put a contract out for those repairs as opposed to things that can be done internally. But that is something we're gonna produce, but anything that's of imminent nature gets reported back from the field at the time, but thankfully, relatively speaking, we haven't had any major structural defects. Just a lot of maintenance things with the that's what triggered all the heavy cleaning recommendations, so.
Okay, that's helpful.
But as part of our CSO program in the late 90s, we put in miles of new stormwater systems. The giant pipe, the 7-foot by 10-foot box culvert at Kings Beach, we put that in brand new, 25 years ago. So that would you would connect all the catch basins into those new drains that we put in that period. And then we got into a design build contract in the early 2000s. We put in 75% of new drains, which would be connected to the catch basins, and then they also put in new sewers. And the new sewers you have to take the old sewer out of the old sewer, which was gonna be converted to a drain. So I'm gonna say 20 miles of our system are new pipes. They could have defects, of course, but the majority is gonna be new systems, so. The older system, like anything north of, say, Wyoma Square is gonna already mostly have been separated, but that could have cracks and defects, but some of it, the rest is all mostly new pipe, so the results have been good.
Right, okay, that's good to hear.
Any other questions about Kings Beach updates?
One other question, and maybe just something we could talk about on record, is there's been a lot of questions about the laterals, whether or not the laterals that go from the house to the sewer system I know we have a different system here in Lynn. Do you mind just talking about that a little bit? About whether laterals could be an issue?
I mean, they could be an issue in every city and town that has sewers, because generally speaking, it's an ownership question. They're owned by the property owner and not by the utility. So usually it's a responsibility of where does it fall. If the sewer gets replaced in the street, like Dan was saying, during the separation projects, usually you just tied on to the existing lateral. You weren't paying for work on private property or something that wasn't the responsibility of the commission. So that there is always a potential you have defective laterals. I mean, that's why a lot of those sewer and drain companies you see driving around are usually clearing laterals of roots and other issues, because that's the homeowner or the property owner's responsibility. When we have been going out and doing inspections and we have reason to want to check what the adjacent sewer is, just to see if there's anything wrong with it where we have an issue, we have been TVing both drain and sewer. We have not been doing lateral inspections.
Okay.
Really, we're looking for major defects, like if you found a major sewer breach next to a place where there's an issue with the drain, that could be a vulnerability you want to jump on. Or we're really doing it for actually counting the number of laterals that are coming in to see if there's a potential where you're like, we expected 6 and only saw 4. That might mean there might have been one that's still tied into the drain or vice versa.
Okay. And if people aren't maintaining their laterals, the homeowners, what is the likelihood that in the Lynn system that any of that seepage is getting into the wastewater system or the storm system?
It all depends on the severity of the defects. Minor cracks and things like that, it's probably a low propensity for anything. And Lynn's system doesn't have the underdrain, so you don't have a potential immediate pathway for any exfiltration to get out of a sewer lateral and get into the underdrains. It's not to say you can't get something that happens at some individual location, but it'd be a lot harder to note, just because usually the primary flow is gonna go down the lateral and then you might get residual that kind of lingers around, so it's not like you're seeing, if somebody gets a huge backup or something like that, chances are they're calling because their basement is starting to have issues, not really out in the yard.
Right. Okay.
So problem properties are probably finding out because they're not having flow inside the house, in the property, not necessarily out in the yard.
Makes sense. All right. Thank you for that.
And was there anything, you were done, sorry, yeah. For the outfall testing, for the testing of the actual outfall, if I recall correctly, at the last meeting, you were talking about how you were having samples analyzed in 2 different ways or by 2 different vendors?
We did our sampling, the commission did its own sampling using the lab through wastewater treatment plant. And alongside that, Environmental Partners was doing sampling at the same time and using their lab. And we were looking to compare the results, and then they look like they're pretty comparable. There wasn't a difference in the numbers.
Okay.
That's it, right?
Yeah, there was nothing outside of normal error.
Is that it for Kings Beach? I actually want to go back for a second to drinking water. Can you provide, or can someone provide an update on where we are with our service line inventory?
Yes. We actually have service line inventory complete.
Okay.
What we're doing, it's due October 16th. We're just fine tuning it, trying to see if we can find any more unknowns. And so we are also all set to put the site, the information on the website so the homeowners can look it up.
Awesome.
So that's just about, we have a meeting Wednesday. We're finalizing the letters that have to go out to the public within 30 days of the submittal to the DEP.
Yeah.
So we are, the other thing that we're working on too is with the DEP requirement, we have to submit a lead copper line replacement plan. So that's it, even though the EPA requirement for that is 3 years. But we are working on that too, so we feel that everything will be submitted on time. We actually submitted a draft inventory to the DEP already.
Okay.
And all it is just, there are a lot of unknowns.
Okay.
And right now we have about over 9,000 letters that have to go out to the people because,
Okay.
you know, sometimes it's the card was originally a certain, made of a certain material.
Wow.
And then when it was updated, you know, a 100-year-old card, the contractor wouldn't put what they replaced the pipe with, so that has to be an unknown. So it's gonna be quite an extensive project to work on identifying those lines and then replacing them down the
Okay, does anyone have any questions on that? Nope. All right, next item, non-union, non-contract employees adjustments.
I think we want to go into executive session on this.
Okay,
We make a motion
Motion.
to go into executive
Second.
session.
all in favor?
Aye.
I think we're gonna have, we need Sam, Ryan, Anthony, I think that's it.
Okay.
Right.
All right, we'll be back.
Bob's not
Everybody
here.
returning to the meeting at 5:50. No votes were taken in executive session.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to give all non-union employees the same percentage pay raise that was offered to the collective bargaining employees as discussed in executive session.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? I don't know if this is a roll call, Dale.
Roll call. All right, Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Clucci,
Yes.
Commissioner Grace,
Yes.
Commissioner Lozey,
Yes.
and Commissioner Solona.
Yes. All right, new business. The only thing I wanted to say was, I'd like to, Dale, if you could help organize another tour of the drinking water and the wastewater plants for any of the commissioners who are interested, sometime in the fall. If you could help me with that, that would be super. And I'd also like to see if maybe Lynn Community Television could join us for some of that.
Okay.
I'd love to showcase some of what we're doing,
Sure.
to the community, so.
Sounds good.
That's it. Does anyone else have any additional business? No? Okay, meeting adjourned at 5:51.
What?
Thanks.
Okay.